So later this evening, I'm going on a 10-day trip to Iceland. This is going to be with National Geographic, which I'm very excited about. There's going to be a lot more videos about this trip and my experience overall, but I'm very excited to be able to bring you guys along on this journey. Now, before this trip actually gets started, I wanted to share with you guys a little bit about what's going to be in my camera bag for this trip. I have a lot of really exciting equipment and different lenses to test out, so I wanted to obviously share all of that with you guys, along with a few new pickups as well. As I mentioned in my last camera bag video, there's a lot of different configurations that you can have when it comes to different trips, jobs, excursions, whatever it may be. Usually I'm packing something different for each trip, and this is no exception. Now, in terms of photo and video equipment, this is one of the bigger camera bags that I've ever packed. It's extremely heavy right now, but this is everything that I need to get the job done and be able to photograph and shoot video in the way that I would like. So starting things off with the actual bag itself, I debated between the Shimoda X50 and the Peak Design travel pack. Now, believe it or not, the Peak Design actually fits a lot more than the Shimoda 50 does. There's a lot more room on top when it comes to the Shimoda, and it's much more built for outdoor environments, but I found the Peak Design to actually fit the amount of equipment that I needed, which was really nice. I've talked about this bag before, but the last one I had for almost 10 years. These bags are extremely durable, and I think they're the best bag that Peak Design makes. I recently picked up a new one, finally, after my old one gave out, and it's been working just as good as the last one did. Inside of this, I have the large camera cube with quite a different array of lenses and cameras, which I'll get into here in a second. But I really love this camera bag. It pads the cameras really nicely. It's super easy to travel with. It fits all of the airline regulations, and I've never had a problem with this camera bag. So probably to no one's surprise, the main camera for this trip is going to be the Fuji GFX 100S. I'm going to be picking up the new GFX 100 Mark II here fairly soon, but for now, this is going to be my camera of choice for this trip. Now, alongside it is some pretty exciting lenses that I've never used before. The lens I'm most excited for, I think, is the brand new Fuji 500mm f5.6. This is a pretty massive lens, but it's actually really light, which I'm stoked about. I feel like the 250mm GFX lens is honestly heavier than this is. Even the 45 to 100 is heavier than the 500mm. So they've done a great job keeping this really light and compact for how much you get out of this lens. It's a 500mm prime lens, so it's going to be really nice to be able to shoot photos from the boat and also hopefully take some wildlife photos and some really compressed landscape imagery as well. This is my first time using this lens, and really a lens of this focal length ever, so I'm really excited to mess around and see how this lens performs. Now, also in the camera bag, I have the 45 to 100, the 100 to 200, and the 32 to 64 zoom lenses. I think between all these four lenses, I have obviously all my bases covered and then some. I just wanted to be able to get some really cool telephoto imagery, as well as be able to shoot some wider stuff along the boat and all of our travels in Iceland. When it comes to video, we're going to be using the Fuji X-H2S on this trip, which has been kind of my go-to camera now for the last maybe 4 or 5 months, and I've been really impressed with the video quality. I love how this camera renders color and space. It's really beautiful to shoot on, and I feel like it complements my photos really nicely, so this is going to be the main video camera of choice. Now, along with this camera, I have the 18 to 55 2.8. I also have the 50 to 140mm. Now that is more of a telephoto option for the X-H2S. I wanted to be able to get some cool telephoto footage from the boat and also some cool compressed sort of landscape shots with the X-H2S. So I think between these two lenses, we're going to be pretty set. I also am going to be bringing my Sennheiser MKE 400. It's a perfect little shotgun mic. It works really well in the wind, and the battery never really seems to run out. This is actually my second one of these mics. They work great, and I'm very happy with them. I can also clip it onto my camera bag with the Peak Design capture clip, which is a great buy if you guys are ever traveling around or going backpacking. It's really nice to be able to have your camera just sitting there on your shoulder if you need to get a quick shot. I have this new surge protector that I bought from Anker, which should help a lot for all of our charging needs on the trip. It has 2 standard plugs and also 2 USB-C ports and 2 USB-A ports. And between all of that, that should cover most of our bases. I'm going to be charging the Fuji batteries kind of nonstop on this trip because that's all we're really shooting on. So I'm bringing quite a bit of batteries for all of our different Fuji cameras. My girlfriend's going to be using the X-T5 quite a bit on this trip, so between that, the X-H2S, and the GFX, we have about 10 batteries in total, which should be plenty to use 3 batteries per day per camera. The name of the game on international trips, I think, is redundancy. So having backups, having multiple batteries for different cameras, it's very nice to have the peace of mind, I think, when you're traveling, to have all the options that you need to make sure that you can get the stuff that you want to get when it comes to photography and video. I'm also bringing along this small shoulder bag. It's made by the Japanese camping brand Snowpeak, one of my favorite brands out there, and this bag is perfect for carrying around my smaller items such as sunglasses, portable charger, phone, wallet, keys, and also my newest pickup, which is the Ricoh GR3X. I don't want to talk too much about this camera because I'm going to be making quite a few videos with it, but I am really excited to put it through its paces. We're going to be doing a few days in Copenhagen after our trip to Iceland, and I'm definitely going to be shooting quite a bit on this camera and bringing you guys along for that as well. Now, as I mentioned, this is a lot of photo and video equipment. I rented most of these lenses. Fuji was kind enough to send me a few of these lenses as well to check out, but by no means did I purchase all of this equipment. I think that's the beauty of renting, is I'm not really going to use something like a 500mm lens in my day-to-day photography, but for a trip like this, it's going to be really fun to have that long of a lens and that tight of a focal length to shoot some cool stuff on. Now, when it comes to the actual trip itself, this is going to be a really beautiful journey that I'm excited to bring you guys along for. We're going to be on a boat for just about 10 days, circumnavigating the entire country of Iceland, and I'm going to be bringing the video camera on pretty much all of this trip, which is going to be exciting. We're going to break up this whole trip into a little bit of a mini series and bring you guys along on the photography journey as well. It's going to be a really beautiful 10 days, and I can't wait to share with you guys what we get up to. Now, with all this being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this look into what gear I'm going to be bringing on this trip. I'm excited to share more once we actually touch down in Iceland later tomorrow. But for now, that's all I got. Before this video wraps up, I did want to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, which is Squarespace, for sponsoring today's episode. Now, as you guys know by now, Squarespace is a longtime supporter of this YouTube channel and my creative endeavors as a photographer, and I can't thank them enough for their continued support. Simply put, Squarespace is just the easiest way to make any sort of creative website, whether you're looking to display your work, create some gallery pages for different projects that you've shot, maybe open an e-commerce store, or even book appointments. They're just the simplest and easiest way to get a pretty website up and running. I've been using Squarespace now pretty much since the start of my career, and I can't recommend them enough to anyone who's looking to start out and create their own website from scratch. If you guys want to check out Squarespace for yourself, there'll be a link down in the description to receive 10% off your first website or domain purchase. Thank you so much to Squarespace, as always, for sponsoring this video, and thanks to you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one.